One died in the process. And so here's what I'm asking. What can we actually do to get the average Nigerian to acknowledge the right of a child, every child? This child that's living in my house, she has a right to life. She has that right. You don't make life unbearable for her while she's living with you. Yes, maybe you're paying her and you're taking care of every other needs that she has, but she's working for you. Maybe you're paying for her education or whatever. Yes, she's working for you. She has a right. There are things you should not do to her, even if it's a child on the road. There are things you should not do to a child. There are parents who also, the way they bring up their children, you just wonder, do people even realize that this person is a human being that has a right? Some parents do not acknowledge that their children even have any rights. They feel, I'm the one that gave birth to you. You're living in my house. I'm the one that should call the shots. It is what I want that you will do. It is what I prefer that you will do. The child has no right, zero rights. So on one hand, we have people who their children are the precious ones, the jewels. And another person's child is dirty, pack and throw away. And then there are those other ones who just generally, they do not feel that any child has a right. It's what I say that should happen. I can treat you the way I want to. You are a child. So what can we do? What can be done to get the average Nigerian to acknowledge the right of a child? So we'll talk about that till 4 p.m. 4 p.m. we have the news. And of course, after the news, that's the business news. We talk about money. So the EFCC says it has recovered over 30 billion naira from the suspended AGF, Accountant General of the Federation. 30 billion naira, one man. And there's more, like much more. We're talking about Idris Ahmed. So the commission is currently prosecuting him over alleged 109 billion naira fraud. Wow. So we will have that conversation within the 4 o'clock hour. What I'm interested in is in this fight against corruption. Would you say the EFCC has proven itself in its fight against corruption in Nigeria? And that will take us till 5 p.m. when we have the news update. And after the news update, we'll talk about a House of Reps member who is urging President Buhari to tackle the cartel in the oil sector. In fact, the way he actually puts it, Channels Television headline reads, fuel scarcity. Buhari needs courage to break cartel, says Rep. Buhari needs courage to break cartel, says Rep. That's a member of the House of Representatives, Sergius Ogun. And he even asked that the president be prayed for. He said, we need to pray for the president to be strong. In this industry, we have strong cartel. The president will have to take the courage to stop some of these things. That's what he said in an interview on Channels Television. So should we be praying for the president to do what his office authorizes him to do? He has the power to do certain things. Should we rather be praying for him to have courage to carry out an assignment for which he has, it's not just a go ahead, there's an authority on him to do the needful. And also he is also the petroleum minister. So should we be praying for the president? All right, so that will be the last conversation for today. And of course, 6 p.m. the major news bulletin. And after the major news, we'll come back here for open season. Well, in between 5:45 though, there's an interview for 10 minutes. And then 6:45, there's also another interview for 15 minutes. And then 7 o'clock, the sports crew will be here to take you on extra time. Okay, so yes, that's how the show is going to run today. Welcome aboard once again. Get onto Facebook. We are live there. Nigeria Info 92.3 PH. And then get on Twitter and tweet at Nigeria Info PH. And of course, you can send a message via WhatsApp, all right? 0809 030 6416. And remember, for each conversation, please do the needful. Be civil in your utterances. No name calling, no insult on any personality or any person. Let's just do the right thing, all right? We can have a conversation, we can criticize without abusing anybody. Verbal abuse is not allowed on this platform, all right? Thank you very much. Okay, so once again, my name is Constance Mega. Very quickly, I think we'll go on a break, and then when I come back, we can start off the conversation on thoughts and opinions. Do stay tuned.
We connect you to the world.
Welcome back now. It's Hard Facts on 92.3 Nigeria Info. So let's get on thoughts and opinions. And I have two stories here to share with you. The first one, Justice A.C. Obuabo of an Enugu State High Court has sentenced an employee of the CBN, Jude Ozuogu, and his wife, Ifoma Ozuogu, to 13 years imprisonment for child abuse. Well, the state police over there had in July 2020 arrested this couple for maltreating their 10-year-old maid, Norma Nadi, Well, neighbors alleged that the couple subjected the victim to serious torture after they alleged that she caused their baby to fall to the ground at their home in Akko, in the Igbo Etiti local government area of the state. Well, Nadi was said to have carried her mistress's little baby to pamper her to sleep around midnight when the baby mistakenly fell to the ground. Now, story has it that there was no physical or internal injury suffered by the baby. The couple allegedly descended heavily on this girl over the incident. Listen to what they did. I know someone might say, she allowed the baby to fall. Yeah, I've been there. I have been there. All right. But how do you handle it? Right? So this is what they did. Baby fell and they burnt her skin. The maid burnt her skin with a hot pressing iron. You know what that means? You get the iron, you plug it, turn it on, right? And you allow it to heat up. And that was not enough. They drilled a nail into her head. I don't even know how she survived this one. I don't know. And that was not enough. Story also has it that they allegedly inserted pepper into the little girl's vagina. And that was not enough. They locked her up in the toilet. This time around, they said she refused to wash the plates. So it took the intervention of neighbors who heard the girl's cry to rescue and rush her to the hospital for treatment. Anyway, story was taken to court and they were arraigned on 3 counts bordering on inflicting grievous harm, administering noxious or poisonous substance, and employment of a child as a domestic worker. So 3 things there. You know, I'm sure a lot of people still do not know that it is a crime in Nigeria to employ a child as a domestic worker, not business, working for you as a house help. Yeah. So that's it for this particular one. And the second one. The story goes, Justice B. Bassi of High Court 12, Jos, Plateau State, has remanded one Mrs. Neamaka Nwachukwu for allegedly torturing her 11-year-old house help, Margaret Joshua, to death. Now, late Margaret was reportedly tortured to death on November 11, 2022 by Nwachukwu after pouring hot water on her body, a development that subsequently led to her death. I'm looking at pictures here and okay, so that's the story. Anyway, she pleaded not guilty to the charges. The courts granted the oral application of the prosecution and the accused was remanded in the Jos Correctional Center. They've actually adjourned this matter to January 19 of next year for the prosecution to prove its case. So, back to my question. What can we actually do? What can be done? Whether by government, probably human rights advocates, who else? Law enforcement agencies, FIDA and the rest of them. I know they've been doing all the sensitizations they can do. What else can be done? Because it seems with all that they've been doing, it looks like it's not enough. So what can be done? Families, communities, traditional rulers and all those people, even landlords. What can be done to get the average Nigerian to acknowledge the right of a child? I'm generalizing it to the right of a child. I don't want to say the right of a domestic worker because that's the stories I have. That's what it is actually. So as I earlier said, some people just do not acknowledge that a child has a right. For some other persons, if it's another person's child, the person does not have a right. But if it's my child, we pamper them. So what can be done? The number to call is 070-0923-0923. 070-0923-0923. And then you can send me a message via WhatsApp to 0809-030-6416. 0809-030-6416. And then we're live on Facebook, so get on there and drop a comment. Good afternoon, Constance. Firstly, who hires a 10-year-old as maid? This is very terrible. This is coming from Melody from Port Harcourt. All right, Melody, thank you for your message. So you can keep those calls coming. I need solutions, please. All right. Well, some people hire such people. Some people hire kids. All right. And sometimes the way they get these people, sometimes they're even relatives. Right. So sometimes people just, the whole stories, there have been stories of, people hiring grown-ups who are maybe 18 and above, and somehow the man starts sleeping with a house girl. So some women resort to hiring someone way younger, and even at that, sometimes the children are still not free. Sometimes they also become victims of sexual abuse, even as kids. And now this time around, you hire a child, and you don't even treat the child as a child. You treat the child like a criminal. Very terrible stuff. So some people, some people get the kids from their parents. Sometimes some of these kids, it's not even the person going to the parents to ask for the child. It is the parents voluntarily bringing their child because they can't take care of the child. And sometimes it's a matter of, you live in the city, so you're better off to care for my child than I am. I even know of a man who took the daughter to meet a woman and says, please, I don't want her to stay in the village. The boys in the village are going to rape my daughter. So please, let her stay with you. I don't want her to be in that environment. So sometimes some of these things, it's not as if these parents who allow their kids to go live with another person, they're such irresponsible parents. No, sometimes it's even out of being responsible that they allow their kids or they offer their kids to some other person to live with. But does that give someone a leeway to handle a child like a criminal? Even criminals have rights. And that's why jungle justice is also a crime. So you catch a criminal and descend on the criminal, you might go in for it because it's a crime. 070-0923-0923 070-0923-0923. And then for WhatsApp messages, 0809-030-6416. Remember, I'm asking for solutions, right? Yeah, that's what this conversation is actually about. Ezekiel Anthony, you've already re-echoed the same things I have echoed. Like, I have read out the story, I have told you what's happened. All right? So help me out. And give me solutions. What can we do, all right, to get people to understand that children have a right? Whether it's a child that you're taking care of, whether you're the one who is fending for this child or not, this child has a right to life. And not just any kind of life. They should be free to live. There are some people that might not inflict such bodily harm on the child, but they put so much fear in someone's child that the child has no sense of belonging in that house. This child has no self-esteem for themselves, like nothing. Because they would use words to bring down this child. Some people think emotional abuse is not as serious as physical abuse. Oh, it is terrible. You don't want to be in that space where you are emotionally abused. Use words to demean a person, talk down on a person, call the person names, so much so that they begin to doubt who they are. So there are people who they have children in their custody who they have subjected to so much verbal and emotional abuse. And sometimes these kids would rather, would even imagine dying. We have George calling from Owerri. Hello, George.
Yeah, Constant, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, you're welcome.
You see, just like you said that if it is your baby, you can recognize the right of it, but if it is somebody else's baby, the right is being jettisoned. I think that is the truth. But come to your question, I want to say that the only way people can really avoid this mayhem on little kids, I think it is to give to birth how many you can be able to take care of. Because in this country, you see that one of the biggest problems of this country is that the laws of the country is not working. That is why I see people live above the law. People take the laws into their hands. But by the time you begin to put to bed the 1, 2, 3 that even your own brother, the same mother, the same father, your own sister, the same mother, the same father, you cannot take your baby to them for care or for any reason, then you can see that these things will be curtailed.
All right, thank you. Thank you for calling, George. Hi, Confidence from Chuba.
Okay, my name is Confidence.
Turn off your radio set, Confidence.
Please reduce the radio. Yes, I just heard what you were talking about, and I want to make a contribution.
Okay.
First and foremost, I want to make us understand that allowing your kids to live with another person is no sign of, what you call it, is it maturity or discipline or whatever you call it. It is very wrong for any parent to allow its child to live with his or her child, to live with another person.
Why is
because
it wrong?
The kind of orientation you're going to give to that child is totally different from what that caregiver or caretaker or whoever it's called will give to that child. Because I've come to notice a lot of maltreatment given to some of these children that live outside their parents. You understand? So it's never a good thing. If you don't want to take care of the child, why bring the child to the society to suffer? No,
so what you're saying, the solution is no child should go live with another person apart from their parents.
No child.
All right, thank you very much, Confidence. I have Charles calling from Borokiri. Hello, Charles.
Okay, for me, I look at it from 3 perspectives.
All right, go on.
1, poverty. If we're able to deal with poverty, if these parents are empowered enough, I don't think any empowered parents want to give his child out to live as a maid or to work at an age that is irresponsible. That is one. Secondly, look at our consequence management systems. I think we need to advocate more, get more people involved for crimes like this. For example, if we empower the traditional institutions to be able to act, just the way it was done before. If you have a child in my village, for example, and after a while, nobody is seeing that child anymore, the traditional institution has the way of asking the parents to produce that child. And you have to be accountable for that child. So the traditional institution, despite the fact that the child is your child. For example, now, if the chief of that community that owns that girl, or where that girl comes from, knows that if this girl is being manhandled, I'm going to go in for it, despite the fact that our parents are also going to go in for it or take responsibility, he will follow up, he's going to act. So I think we need to also do a lot of advocacy in the letting people know about these laws. People are not aware of these laws.
Okay.
It's beyond the radio thing. Civil society should come in, do more advocacy, educate more people about these laws, so that both the people that are the predators and the victims are aware of where their rights and limitations end. Thank you, Charles from Bobokri.
All right, thank you, Charles. Johnson is calling from Rebisi. Hello, Johnson.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You're welcome. Well, go on.
Yes, like the question you're asking, what will we do about those stories you read out.
Yeah, what can we do to get people, the average Nigerian, to acknowledge and respect the child rights of a child?
Yes, that's why I want to come in. Like we have some government agencies that they call national orientation. Their job is to orientate people, mostly women that have kids. They are under them, how to handle them. And again, I'm expecting FIDA to say something about all these their women, because they are the people forefront about women, talking about women. And all this crime now is mostly coming from women. So I'm expecting them to do their own bit, to see how they can counsel their fellow women on how to live with their mates and the people that is under them. Not only husband and wife issue, or maybe that's where they will jump out and be shouting. So I'm expecting them now to come out now and talk about the matter. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Johnson, for calling. Someone here, Ezekiel Isaiah, says, in developed countries, the educated people uphold the law, but in Nigeria, the opposite is true. How can a man of such treat his house help with such disdain? The man and his wife are evil. Even the Bible recognizes the right of a child. That is why it says, parents, do not provoke your children to anger. Our parents don't read this passage of the Bible. This is man's inhumanity to man, Ezekiel Isaiah. So, Ezekiel, I want to believe you're calling on the Christians to read that portion of the Bible. It's not only children obey your parents and the Lord. Also read the part where he says you should not provoke your children to anger. But, someone will still read that thing and say it is your children. And she's not my child now. The Bible says don't provoke your children. She's not my child. He's not my child. So I can treat him or her anyhow. So how do we get the average Nigerian? When I started off, I said that there are people who just do not, it doesn't ever occur to them that a child, so far it's a child, that this person has, that the same rights a human being has, that a child has the same rights. No, they do not think so. They feel if it's a child, it's a child. I call the shots here. Whatever I do to you as a child, in fact, you owe me an apology for me abusing you. There are parents who can never apologize to a child, regardless of how they messed up in front of that child or how they abused that child. They would never. They will tell you, somebody I can give birth to. Especially now when this child is someone who is not even theirs. Someone who is maybe from a poor home where they may have come to beg, please now let us stay with you people now, so that at least so that we can be managing now, at least, let us just stay with you people. Especially when a child has been handed over to you in that manner. Some people just rubbish another person's child. Zion is calling from GRA. Hello, Zion.
This is greetings to you.
Same to you.
Nothing else you can do.
Why do you say so?
The tormentor that needs help. The truth is this. A lot of adults are choleric in nature. They are bitter. They are wicked. They don't want to forgive. They hold on to things for so long. Their hearts are so shredded because of the environment they grew up, as in how they responded to issues. So the bitterness is there. Whenever anybody that they are higher above or they are taking responsibility upon do something that kind of they make the anger on that person. So all we need, adults need to get healed emotionally, physically, mention it before adventuring into one marriage, relationship, bearing of children, asking people to live with you. Recently, there are some kids that come live in my house. I don't know, let me put it there, because I tend to make us an eyewitness. These children don't sleep. They are on their phones, they are on TV, They are on this, on that till late hour. Sometimes they walk about everywhere. They put on everything. AC is on, fan is on. So to a point I felt, are these people human beings at all? Not until I had a conversation with somebody. Say, look, now so my own themselves they behave. And in the morning I want to leave for work that I have to call them morning devotion. That is when they are sleeping. Don't they even know when I'm going to work? It's only when I work that I call him. That you know, how he's working, how is everything now? Uncle Zion, I be eating. That is when I'm just like, it's not people are calling me. So the truth is this. The adults, if they are not healed enough to take care of their housemates, will keep recording this. Look at this, the bank, whatever that is involved, that sentenced to prison. Is it not a graduate? What is the essence of being a graduate? Is it not to be educated enough to control your anger, temperament, emotion, and everything? Is it not aware that there's what they call a Child Right Act or a bill that has been domesticated? Apart from that, is it not a human being to know that this can be my child or my human being? I have to protect him or her for the future. So if you say, oh, what help do we need? What is the solution? It's just as if these are aliens that will just come into the house and start dealing with our house help, our housemates. No,
all right.
It is we. We, the adults that are old, that have these people in our homes. How much have you been healed from your past?
All right. Thank you very much for calling, Mr. Zion. Afternoon, Constance. What can be done? Stiffer punishment should accompany such devious act, and the religious leaders need to up their game. It baffles me that people who commit such act actually belong to a religious organization. What are they really told on Sundays about love? Or are religious places are more concerned about prosperity than humanity now? We need to check our morals too. Well, that's a message from Dave. All right, and then this person, Prince Ben, says governments at all levels are to be blamed in all of these cases. I'm not asking who should be blamed. I'm asking what can we do? Anyway, you say most of the parents are being owed salaries and pensions, and they hardly care for their children, and that makes it possible to let them out to wicked men and women who treat them worse than slaves. Solution: government and employers of labor should create more jobs, and their employees should be paid all their entitlements as at when due, for parents to take at least minimal care of their children. Okay. All right. Okay. That's what Prince Ben is saying. All right. Paul Chuku is asking if it requires prayer. Why are you asking me if it requires prayer? Because I don't know what it's supposed to mean. But that's his message on Facebook. He's asking, does it require prayer? Or are you reacting to something else? Maybe you are. But thanks all the same. All right, so I just want to I need to find something. Even right here in Rivers State, I think recently Governor Wike signed the Child's Rights Bill into law. So even with such laws, there's also the VAP law, Violence Against Persons. People are not aware of these things, but then we talk about these things on radio every now and then. Is this enough to know that there's a law? I mean, do you even need to know about a child's rights law to recognize that if I malhandle a child, I will be punished for it? You know, there are people who just automatically think that once they are the ones who malhandle a child, they will get the upper hand because people would rather be asking them, what did the child do? So they will find a way to say whatever to justify their wickedness on another person's child or on any child. So they will be the one, they feel they will have the upper hand. It is what they say that people are going to take. Like someone was asking me when I mentioned the story, the first question I got was, what did the maid do? I found it, a little weird. Because I feel like, why would you torture someone's child to death? Why would you boil water? Wait for the water to boil. Carry the water and pour on someone's child? Why would you plug your iron to the socket and wait for it to heat up? And then you and your husband hold this little girl and design her body with this hot iron. And it was not enough. You still go and get a nail, drill it into her head. I don't know, that girl, she must really have a strong spirit, because she survived all of that. So these are just 2 cases. There are so many others happening in our society today. So many that are not reported. Israel is calling from Bori. Hello, Israel. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. Compliment on the business.
I wish you the very best. Please go on.
Yeah. It's a very vital matter you're discussing right here on studio. It's very, very important here. You know, it's a case of moral, a case of value. How do we value humanity? What kind of training? You are not, being a parent it doesn't mean you have to be of age. Yeah, a lot of things are required. Do you have savings that you can give those children education, good housing, good medical? You as a parent, what is your value as a person? Listen, what happened yesterday showed that we dehuman ourselves, excluding the politics now. How can you drive a vehicle on a pedestrian lane where kids are coming back from school, knowing people that you could hit a kid? You give birth to a child, you give that child pure water to hawk. Did they by force you to start becoming a parent? These are some of the things we need to check in our society. These things increase the poverty level of the society.
All right, thank you very much. Apologies, Israel. I have commercials coming right up, and of course afterwards the news. Do stay tuned.
You are tuned in to
Nigeria Info.
All right, so we have about less than 3 minutes anyway before the top of the hour when we bring you the business news. Good afternoon, Ma. One way to curtail this, I think, if everyone takes the responsibility of taking care of the child, speaking against this act, if anyone around us are guilty of such, we have changed a woman, and today the little child is happy now and enjoying his freedom. Pene Trust, I know I read your message, but I think you're telling me a story, but it's just the way you coined the message. Thank you very much all the same. But you might want to resend, all right? But in resending the message, please read it to yourself so that you'll be sure of what you want me to read. Good afternoon, my sister. I wonder how a couple will destroy another person's child, even though... My sister, I saw the picture and I feel the pain that child must be going through. No matter the child's offense, nobody has the right to treat any child like that. This wicked couple did. I want the court to sentence this couple to 15. No, you can't be calling the court to do whatever. The court has sentenced them. Sweet Tony from Port Harcourt, they have been sentenced, all right? And I hear the sentencing is concurrently. They will serve the term or their terms concurrently. So it's going to start reading from when they were in custody since 2020 or so. So they might not even be doing up to the 15 years or so. I think it's 5 years they would do. Crazy stuff. All right, we have to call it a day here now. So you can still join in for this particular conversation. Keep your messages coming. I'll read them during the open season segments, all right? So we have the business news coming up at 4 p.m. And after that, we'll be talking about the EFCC concerning monies that the EFCC has recovered, especially the 30 billion naira from one person. It's amazing. And I'm asking you to tell me, has the EFCC proven that it's doing a great job? When I return, we'll have that conversation. Do stay tuned.